And here they stop for a moment, as they always do when they get to a point like this. And they say again, we must state before we go on, that the execution of these changes, as we have suggested, never need go beyond that which can be accomplished inside the law. Any activity outside the law must come from dominion, not from that which we have suggested. The laws can be changed, powers can be tumbled inside the law. You don't believe that? You've been taught that you can't fight City Hall? Listen, and they're going to give you some examples of what could be if you had this system going. The president of an oil company has so much wealth and power that he laughs at congressmen who would investigate him and his company. And this really happened. What power does Congress have against the great oil companies? They had none. 2 weeks later, the whole of America has said enough and boycotted that oil company because the People's Trust News has shown them what is truly going on. No product made by the company is bought by the American public anymore. Within a month, that company is on its knees. Will that happen? Yes. When you get together, it'll happen. When the People's Trust News is a reality, it will happen. Do you understand what they said there? They said that because you have the People's Trust News, you sat there and watched them make fun of the congressman and tell the congressman to forget it, they don't have any power. And then, the congressman who didn't have power at the time, and this really happened. I actually saw the video of them, the top guy just saying, "Up yours," if you will. When that was reported, if that had been reported on the People's Trust News with the emphasis that it should have been given, more important than the stubbed toe of the football player, given the emphasis that it should have been given, you would have said that's enough of that baloney. Basically, the oil company's telling you, the representatives representing you, they're telling you that you don't have any power over them. And you just get up and say, okay, let me give you an example. BP, they destroyed the Gulf of Mexico. Nobody did anything about it. They just slid under they paid off the politicians and paid off the government, and that was the end of that. Well, you just said, well, Congress calls them in and says, what did you do? How did how could this possibly have happened where you're pumping millions of gallons of oil into the Gulf of Mexico? And they say, up yours, you don't have any control of us. You don't have anything that you can do about us. So where are we at then? We're at the People's Trust News is saying that this is what happened, and the next thing you know, the people get fed up with it and they stop buying anything from BP. People's Trust News reports, oh, BP's selling to Shell because nobody's buying from them. Okay, then you boycott Shell too, and anybody else that uses any BP product. Now, let me tell you, within a couple of weeks, with no income coming in, that company's bankrupt. BP is totally bankrupt. They're done, because you have a news media that is telling you what they're doing to try to get their product sold, and they just can't sell it anywhere. Now they have all these tanks full of gas and oil and whatever else they make, and nobody's buying any of it. What do you think happens there? They go belly up just that fast. And so that they say that when People's Trust News is a reality, will that happen? And the question becomes, why do you think so much time is spent dividing the American public into trivia camps of yes or no abortion, save the seal, rainforest, AIDS, gays, football, sitcom, where everything is allowed, and evangelism, where only what those people who are evangelistic believe is allowed, and on and on and on. All of it, division, divide, keep you from getting together. Book 5 will tell you that even the churches are there to divide. Even the churches are there to divide us. No, you might not see the extent of what they're they're very quiet about it. And I never exactly understand why. Book 5 will tell you the churches are there to divide. The churches are there to do what it wants. Now, think about that. That's what they're saying. I can see why it has to be in Book 5. Okay. However, when the 20% of you join to get something accomplished, it will be. There's no power greater here on earth. The People's Trust News will get that 20% and more to join together, because when you know what's going on, you'll get up and stop it. You want another example? You've been trying to get a law passed that will accomplish some goal that's needed here. Your government and the legal community are resisting for obvious reasons. You can't get them to move even though you have the vast majority of the vote. You can't get them to do what you want them to do even though you have the vast majority. Does that sound familiar? Then they ask, revolution? No. Call a constitutional convention state by state and change the Constitution. We will bet that what you want will be forthcoming and the convention will never be called. Why? Because the powers that be are terrified that you'll get into the Constitution and make a law they don't want. They will go ahead and pass your law so that you don't, fizzle. Everybody's all excited and they want a constitutional convention to change this law. What do you think will happen? They'll change the law before they let you call a constitutional convention. That's common sense. If you do any politics at all, you'll recognize that as being the truth. And then they go on and say, if not, if they don't change the law, then call that constitutional convention and change the basic law to reflect your needs. The laws are for man, never the other way around. Man, in fairness to him, is far and away more important than the law. But that is not what you are taught. We are a country of laws, they say. But what is it that we should be? Take away all the teaching given you by all that advertisement, and it becomes obvious that we should be a country of justice. We're a country of laws. Give me a break. Why? Because you've been advertised to, and the super rich want ways to buy their way out of your justice, if you will. They want to be oh man, when you start to see what's going on. Okay, boycotts and constitutional changes, these are the tools of reform. Learn their use, but fear their abuse, and that's capitalized. Fear their abuse, in other words. And they say, what is the abuse? Obviously, those that are not very well developed will try to solve all their problems by looking out into the world and getting someone else to do the work. They will want to use these two powers to get some short-term, silly, goofy problem solved and get somebody else to fix it. So they'll want a constitutional convention and they'll want to boycott, and that's not the thing. The thing that they tell you here is that they are giving you a plan, a program, a complete system to implement. It has been worked out in detail. It isn't just a quick fix for the moment. These two powers we have shown you are not small powers. Get your program in place and know the outcome before you change the laws. Put the program in place and stop. Do not add any more than the program suggested. The concept is that once you get the program suggested in place, and all the other problems will get solved by those who will be elected in the new system now working for you. Properly used, those powers will bring your life under control. Abused, it will bring back dominion. Enough said? What did they say there? They said, do what we've laid out here. If you have a constitutional convention, do only what we've laid out here for you. Why? Because if you have done what is laid out here, your government employees will do what it is that needs to be done, and you don't have to get down to all the petty little details. You understand what they're saying? They're saying, let the government that is with you and for you do what they should have been doing all along. See, we don't have to nitpick. Just get these things done that you've laid out here and stop. Don't let the undeveloped people who want everything their way, even though even though there's no wisdom involved in it, leave them out, get them out, let them function under the new system. They'll do okay.